Next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, CBS Sports Spectacular presents live coverage of the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the third leg of the Fall Triple Crown. Highlights of the highly acclaimed Junichi Cup with three-time Olympic gold medalist Nadia Comaneci of Romania competing. And the world's strongest men competition featuring the wrist roll. That's next Saturday at 4:30.
Miami and Baltimore, both unbeaten when they got out of bed and got dressed today. 73 points later, only the Baltimore Colts are unbeaten. Their first offensive play, Lydell Mitchell explodes. On the day, he carried 16 times for 137 yards. This put the Colts up by 7. Now it is Bob Greasy handing to Benny Malone, who goes 52 yards for a Miami touchdown. This put the Dolphins ahead 14-7, and Malone rushed for 145 yards. Now it is the moment when Greasy wants to go to Duriel Harris on the 1-yard line. Did he fumble the ball or was he down? The Colts screamed bloody murder that this was a touchback and should come out on the 20. But they gave it to Miami and they scored a touchdown. Then they came back with Benny Malone again, this time 61 yards as he scores 2 touchdowns and gains a phenomenal 145 yards. Miami led at 28-10. Baltimore then scored 35 unanswered points. Jones goes to Chester. This is a 27-yarder. Jones, 19 of 31, 210 yards, and 4 touchdown passes, including this one to McCauley, 23 yards, 45-28. The final score, Baltimore still unbeaten. Now the rest of the scores around the National Football League. Of course, the big game, St. Louis leading the Cowboys at the half, the contest you're watching. Kansas City and Denver. Livingston, the Chiefs quarterback, out with a separated shoulder. The Broncos rolling toward that showdown with Oakland next Sunday. Washington and Tampa Bay, the Redskins shutting out the Bucs in the third quarter. Atlanta and San Francisco. The Falcons have had 2 touchdowns called back in that game already. San Diego wins. They shut out New Orleans and Archie Manning 14-0. Pittsburgh, Houston. Big upset and a big story. Terry Bradshaw fractured his left wrist in that game. Dottie Pastorini of Houston may have torn up an ankle. Franco Harris, the Steeler quarterback, went out with a pinched nerve. Oilers win it 27-10. And again, the final score, Baltimore beats Miami 45-28. Cincinnati had trouble early, then came back, scored the last 17 points to beat the Pack 17-7. Other final in the NFC Central, the Vikes now lead it as they beat Detroit 14-7. New England's first shutout in 3 years. They racked the Seahawks 31-0. Oakland and Cleveland 26-10, and the Raiders win for the 17th straight time. Jets upset Buffalo despite 122 by O.J. Simpson. Philadelphia stops the Giants 28-10 the final in that game. And Phyllis George, we've got a baseball game coming up tonight, Kansas City and the New York Yankees.
This is going to be the biggest war of all times in the American League. The weather's beautiful. It is in Kansas City, split off starting for the Royals, and for the Yankees is Guidry. Who do you like, Jimmy?
You.
No, that's not what you're supposed to say, James. Who do you like tonight for the baseball game?
Kansas City comes up last. That gives them the edge. That's the only thing.
And being at home helps.
That's it. That's why they get the bat last, because they are at home.
That's right. And, you know, you're something else. And I'm going to ask you something about the World Series. Who do you like? Who's the favorite? Let's make the decision right now.
Okay. Regardless of who wins it between Kansas City and the Yankees, the Dodgers will be the favorite. 2 good reasons. They have 3 or 4 players who hit over 300, plus the fact that they hit 30 or more home runs by each one, plus the fact that their pitchers have at least 24 hours more rest than either Kansas City or the Yankees. So we have to make the Dodgers a slight favorite.
Good enough.
Let's take it away from him, Irv, and get to the highlights. As the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
Archie and Edith bury a cousin and uncover a family secret. Tonight at 9, 8 Central and Mountain on CBS.
For the 40th time in his fabulous career, O.J. Simpson today rushed for better than 100 yards. But the Bills still came up a loser. It's the first time this season that the Juice has turned it loose as he rolls outside for 39 yards in the early going with the score tied against the New York Jets. Bills get on the board. Ferguson to Pacone, formerly of the Jets in the corner after the extra point, 7-0. Back came Richard Todd. He's maturing slowly for Walt Michaels, coming along nicely. Here is Harper. What a pickup he has been as he gets his way to the 5-yard line of the Bills. Now it'll be Todd, going to Jerome Barkham for the touchdown. This put the Jets in command 17-7, and the Bills were forced to come off the deck. Ferguson rolling, wants Chandler his favorite target, made it 17-14. They then tied it. With a couple of minutes to go, the Bills fumbled. And for the 13th straight time since he became coach, Jim Ringo came up a loser for Buffalo as Clark Gaines ran it in. 24-19, Jets a winner. Irv?
Brent, the Minnesota Vikings took a commanding lead in the National Football Conference Central Division today by defeating the Detroit Lions 14-7 out of Minnesota. Of course, Van Tarkenton had a pretty good day, passing for 267 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And here's one of his early throws in the ball game down to Ahmed Rashad down to the 13-yard line. Sets up a pretty nice sequence of plays, which is followed up by this one, a pass to Sammy White. Remember him, the great wide receiver, was Rookie of the Year last year. Minnesota takes an early 7-0 lead. Targeting this time elects to go to some razzle-dazzle, throwing the ball outside to Ahmed Rashad, who's pinned up here on the sideline. He hands the ball off to Sammy White, and Sammy legs it the rest of the way in for another Minnesota score, and they led 14-0. Of course, that Viking defense is pretty tough, and Greg Landry tried to find some kind of way to crack it, and he does here as Luther Blue goes over on a pretty tough run here and goes in, but it wasn't enough as Minnesota won 14-7.
And Irv Tarkenton, 21 of 31 for 267 yards. Tell Jimmy the Greek about the Tark stats today, will you? Dallas and St. Louis. As Ben Scully has told you, it has been an excellent football game. Jimmy Bakken with a 32-yard field goal. Cardinals ahead of the Cowboys, 3-0. Watch this block punt. Here comes Waters. It's going to be recovered by the Cowboys on the 13-yard line, and that set up a Herrera field goal. A 29-yarder coming up, and it managed to tie the score at Dallas 3 and St. Louis 3, and Herrera is dead on, isn't he? I guess the only big one I can ever remember missing was in that game against Minnesota that opened the season. Now it's Metcalf. Here he comes, back in the starting lineup for the Cardinals. He explodes 62 yards for the touchdown, and after the Bakken extra point, it was 10-3, and Phyllis George was looking downcast. But then back came Tony Dorsett. Oh, that's a $100 fine for doing that. Now it's Tony Dorsett, 77 yards. Sweet run, isn't it? He just busts loose there and turns it on. Notice that high step when they get a hand on him. Shades of Gale Sayers, tied at 10 after Herrera's extra point. Now it is Hart who is shaken up rudely. What a game 79 Harvey Martin has had. Mel Gray caught it 60 yards, and it put him up. And at halftime, 17-13 is the score. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
Another all-nighter for the old workaholic, huh?
Somebody's got to get the work out.
Many people drive themselves too hard, and it's putting the cost of health care under a lot of stress. Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans have programs to hold costs down, but everybody needs to help.
I hear you're working on a transfer.
Huh?
Yeah, to that big office in the sky.
When you overtax yourself, we all pay for it.
All of us helping each of us.
A guy I know tells me this new Sunbeam adjustable groomer razor is the greatest shaver ever made. Well, I say, so what? I'm a blade man. He says, try it and you won't be. He's right.
Here's how Sunbeam's new groomer razor works. 12 stainless steel blades cut at 8,000 strokes a minute through the thinnest shaving head you can get. Stands whiskers up and shears them off, at or below the skin line.
You a blade guy? Try this. It may be the last time you use a blade.
The Dallas Cowboys are a homegrown football team, and a team that plays offense like nobody else. Hi, I'm Harvey Martin, and I was born and raised in Dallas, and I'm very pleased to have this chance to show you my home. Now, in a way, Dallas came out of nowhere. No harbors, no railroads, no rivers, nothing to make it great except the people. People who saw a city that looks like tomorrow. People who love football and the Texas State Fair, summer musicals, and three-alarm chili. You know, we get kidded about being Texans and claiming they have the biggest everything, but there are people in Dallas with the biggest hearts anywhere. They're the volunteers of our United Way. People like you and me working with the Red Cross, the YMCA, Services for the Aging, and many other agencies funded by our United Way. They take pride in our team, our city, and our United Way. They're beautiful people, and for all of them, we'd like to say thanks to you. It works for all of us, the United Way.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League.
Well, every now and then you get all the ingredients. You get two good ball clubs, you get perfect weather, a sellout crowd, some very high potent offensive performers, and they are all working today, much to the delight of a sellout crowd here in St. Louis. Not a cloud in the sky. And it's Dallas and the Cardinals, and Hawk, you couldn't ask for a better first half.
Benny, you got it right on the head, but this is one of the finest football games you're ever going to see. But do you think what's going on in the minds of Roger Finney at halftime, you suppose?
I was just going to ask you that. Probably the biggest single question posed to the Cardinals, what do you do about Harvey Martin?
Well, you can try hobbling him or putting him in a cage, and if none of those work, you can have him arrested.
Or maybe shoot him with a tranquilizer.
Something, brother. He is playing in an uncontrollable rage in that latter part of that second quarter.
In fact, on that last play, when Hart went down under the charge by Harvey Martin, he was literally a wild man. It looked like he got away with a strong head slap.
Yeah.
It looked like he got away with some face mask grabbing, and Hart didn't get away.
No, Hart. I hope to see him come back out in the second half. We got too good a game. I don't want to see anybody run it.
We can take a look at some numbers as far as halftime, and in case you weren't with us, as you read those numbers, we'll fill you in. First of all, Jim Bakken kicked a 32-yard field goal. The big play was a 42-yard pass penalty to set it up. However, the Cowboys came back a 29-yard field goal from Efrain Herrera. Then Terry Metcalf in the first quarter ran 62 yards for a touchdown. Bakken converted. But in the second quarter, Anthony Dorsett ran 77 yards for a touchdown. Herrera converted. Then a 60-yard pass play from Jim Hart to Mel Gray, who caught it in front of Mel Renfro for the touchdown. And finally, in the second quarter, Efrain Herrera kicked a 40-yard field goal. So you're up to date on the scoring plays. The Cardinals leading the Cowboys 17-13 at halftime. Hawk, do you read anything particular in the stats?
You know, I haven't even had a chance to look at the stats. I've been so excited about the game. We've had a little bit of everything. Block punts, long touchdown runs, long touchdown passes, plenty of penalties, sacks and near sacks.
There is the question mark at the start of the second half. Is Jim Hart... Well, the great coach Tom Landry, 53 years old, the sixth winningest coach in history, as he started this year with 137 wins. And he's already won 3 to get to 140. Staubach there throwing on the sidelines with Tony Hill catching so that Roger doesn't stick a finger in it. And in a moment, we'll be getting underway. Jim Bakken will tee it up on the 35-yard line. Butch Johnson, number 86, Larry Brinson, number 36, go deep for the Dallas Cowboys. That's Butch Johnson, the second cousin of Senator Edward Brooks of the state of Massachusetts. So there's a lot of running in that family, one for political office and the other for yardage.
Oh, buddy.
All right, Bakken says he's ready. 17-13 in favor of the Cardinals. And here we go, the start of the third quarter. Almost a gyroscope that's out of whack, and it goes out of bounds. And so Bakken will have to kick it again. Jim Bakken is very much a part of the history of the St. Louis Cardinals, and as number 25 goes back to take it up, he is the all-time St. Louis scorer. He has led in points 14 straight years. He was all NFL, all NFC 2 years in a row. 208 straight games. A magnificent player out of Wisconsin, 4 times in the Pro Bowl, 16 years of experience.
What did he finish with field goal percentage last year? Something like 79% or something like that? He's
just
always
about
up
exactly
in there.
it.
I don't think he missed but 3 field goals inside the 40 last year. I believe that's right.
Among other things, he holds a National Football League record. He kicked 7 field goals in one game. He went 7 for 9. What we're saying is he could be a factor. All right, Bakken gets it up in the air and down the middle. It's time to Butch Johnson on the 10. And he gives to Billy Joe Dupree at the 20 on a reverse. And Dupree is going to be driven out of bounds by Steve Jones at the 45-yard line. Billy Joe Dupree, who has carried 7 end-arounds last year, so he's accustomed to those handoffs, and he made the most of it.
You could tell he isn't Anthony Dorsett, though. Look at those little short, those big old long legs taking those little short strides. He hadn't got the greatest speed in the world, but it was very effective. We just had a little bit of everything.
So 1st and 10 for the Cowboys. The ball on the Cowboy 43-yard line. Staubach has Butch Johnson sitting this one down. Drew Pearson breaking to the left. That's Robert Newhouse. And Newhouse tripped just as Leo Nelson was coming up off a block by Donovan. And Nelson knocked him out. That's a tough play because it was a good block by Pat Donovan, but he literally knocked Nelson right into the ball carrier.
Yeah, they forced that outside that time. Bob Bell got a lot of penetration that time, making it go outside.
So they picked up 6. Atlanta has finally gotten on the scoreboard to break that shutout, and it is Atlanta 7, San Francisco nothing.
Haven't they been a surprise team this year?
Right from the opening gun when they knocked off Los Angeles. 2nd and 4 from the 49. Newhouse and Preston Pearson. Preston in motion to the right. And as a flip back to Newhouse, he has Donovan out in front of him. And he's still on his feet as he gets across the 35-yard line. And the one man to get him was Charlie Davis.
Gracious me, the speed of Pat Donovan. 3rd-year player, moved in that right tackle position due to an injury to the regular tackle for the Cowboys. Look at him get out there and turn it upfield. Got the good speed. Newhouse. We got old Drew Pearson out there blocking a little bit. Notice he did not hit below the legs or below the waist. That would be constituted as clipping. Bobby Newhouse rolling down that right sideline. Who's that putting a hit on him over there? Charlie Davis.
Cowboys on the move. 1st and 10 on the Cardinal 35-yard line. Play action fake to Pearson. Pressure over the middle to Butch Johnson, and it's complete. And it was Lee Nelson who had him by the jersey, number 38. And finally he went down. But Butch Johnson, 2nd-year man out of the University of California of Riverside, made the catch.
And the blitz was on the Cardinals to generate some kind of pass rush. If you see the middle linebacker, Tim Carney, blitzing on that time. You also had Steve Niels in there. Perfect poise by Roger Staubach. Nice throw to Butch Johnson.
1st and 10, just inside the 25. They'll mark it on the Cardinal 24-yard line. So the Cowboys on the move. Pearson, deep man out of the eye. And Pearson, 2nd man through, and he is hit and buried. The first man was Tim Carney, the middle linebacker, who came up to get him, number 56.
Robert Newhouse, number 44. The little guy. Look at that low center of gravity. Good block there. Atta boy. Well, he didn't win the battle, but he staved it off. He broke even on it.
2nd and 9 from the 23. Mark Arneson was trying to fight Newhouse off on that block. So 2nd and 9. Drew Pearson wide left. Preston Pearson, the deep back out of the eye. Pitch back to Preston Pearson. And he fights his way down to the 15-yard line. He's probably got 1.5 yards to go for a first down. Arneson and Davis making the tackle.
Once again, the right side of the Dallas line. Rafferty and Donovan making good blocks there, and Preston Pearson just following his blocking so well.
The story of Preston Pearson. 3 years with Baltimore, 5 years with Pittsburgh, and the miracle of Dallas, how they ever got him. And now leading Dallas in rushing yardage and receiving yardage, coming off 76 knee surgery. Remarkable story.
And he's playing better football now than he ever has in his life, I believe.
Walt Patelski taking over from Mike Dawson up front now. 3rd and 2 from the 16. Play action fake to Newhouse and a flip to Preston Pearson. Mike Sensabaugh tackles him, and the ball is loose and picked up by Mark Arneson, and Cardinals have recovered on the 15-yard line.
Would you believe?
Mark Arneson.
There's a man that never fumbles. Preston Pearson, I don't recall the last fumble I saw him make. Just turned it loose right that time. A big break for the Cardinals. Pearson runs the slant in pattern that time. He fakes the ball to Newhouse. Clears that area, and Preston just, you see him shake it loose right there.
You usually think of Firestone only on the road. But when you take a day to relax, you'll find Firestone stays right with you to share in the fun. Like children's balloons made of Firestone.
Yeah, to the 30-yard line. He's out in the open and pulled down at the 45-yard line by Aaron Kyle.
You can look for Tom Banks to make a block, the all-pro center of the Cardinals. It's got to happen because that hole sprung right in the middle there. See it from the end zone. He blocks left. Bob Young comes and turns his man in, the middle linebacker, Bob Brunig. The hole is there. Cliff Harris missed a tackle, as did D.D. Lewis. Watch Kyle, though. Closes that ground in a hurry. He said, we've seen that before.
So Terry Metcalf throwing the block. Wayne Morris carries it to the 46, 1st and 10 Cardinals. And it's Wayne Morris again, and he gets out to midfield and goes over a yard with Cliff Harris on top of him.
And the handkerchief goes down. They got a penalty flag down.
And it's against the Cardinals, a demoralizing blow for them for the moment at least. The Cardinals had their backs against the walls. There you see the defensive squad, Kenny Reeves and Mark Arneson, Severson, Sensabaugh, and Carney, all going over their assignments.
Offense, number 88, holding. First down.
J.V. Kane was guilty of holding. Jim Hart is well, sound, and back out there at the wheel. The ball on the Cardinal 36-yard line, 1st and 20. The Cardinals leading 17-13, 9:59 to go in the third quarter. Mel Gray wide right, Ike Harris wide left, Kane the tight end on the right side. That's Wayne Morris in motion, picked up by Waters. Here comes Metcalf. He passes broken up by Waters. So Charlie Waters just picked up the man in motion, and he was there to block the pass.
Yes, sir. Worked once, but not again. Oh, Charlie Waters is a fine safety man. He comes up here. He's already committed himself now, so he's got to go on through with the thing. Now he plays a little volleyball with it. He had missed his assignment. That was his coverage over there, Wayne Morris, but he decided once he'd made the mistake to go ahead and continue on with it. That's the thing to do.
Jim Hart, 2nd and 20 from his own 36. But, of course, that's a lot better than where they were. A completed pass to Pearson, who fumbled, and it was recovered by Mark Arneson. And now they're out to their own 36-yard line, albeit 2nd and 20. Gray, wide right, picked up by Benny Barnes. Morrison Metcalf, back of Hart. Hart going high and deep, intended for Gray, and it's short. In fact, the closest man did was Benny Barnes, who peeled off Gray and came back to try and intercept.
Jim Hart looked very awkward throwing that ball that time, didn't he? You suppose he's still suffering from the effects of that being sacked back in the second quarter?
I'm just wondering the combination. He had sore fingers on his throwing hand earlier, went down heavily under Harvey Martin, appeared to take a little bit of a lick on the right side of the neck and just underneath the right ear, and felt heavily on his arm, so we'll have to keep an eye on him, Hawk. 3rd and 20 from the 36. Gray wide right, Harris wide left, Kane on the right side, and it's still Wayne Morris and Terry Metcalf. Big Jones and Randy White putting pressure, and the pass is thrown behind Metcalf because Randy White was coming up the middle, number 54, ready to eat him up. The Dallas rush would appear to be taking its toll the last few minutes of the second quarter and early here in the third.
Well, you know, that halftime break, you give Tom Landry and his staff a little time to make their adjustments at halftime and all that, and that doesn't come as any great surprise to me that Dallas would stiffen like this in the third quarter.
So Terry Joyce will be punting from his 25, and here come the Blues, but they keep him out. However, it's not that good a punt. It'll hit on the 35, and it takes a Cowboy bounce. Look at that thing. Stops on the 10-yard line of Dallas.
Now, that's something you should never do, is let that ball hit. So many times you see that ball should be fielded on punts. They got about, 20 more yards out of letting that bounce?
It turns out to be a 46-yard punt by Terry Joyce, thanks to those bunts. Stone's able to be down there to spot it. And so the Cowboys, 1 minute ago it seemed, they were down there 1st and 10 on the Cardinal 14. Meanwhile, Billy Donkers, number 10, who had one play in the first half, is warming up, and you're wondering if Jim Hart is still pretty groggy.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some adjustments made if Donkers does go in, because I don't think we've mentioned it, but he does have, Donkers, the backup quarterback to Jim Hart, does have a severe, I would say, speech impediment.
Yes, in fact, I remember Alex doing a game here where Donkers came in to call the play, and we explained the problem and how he overcame the problem. And sure enough, on his first and only play, it was a delay of game, too much time to call off the play. So that's another pressure on the kid. Meanwhile, the question is, can Jim Hart survive and come back? The Cardinals, after all, are still leading 17-13. We have 9:34 to go in the third quarter. The ball is on the Dallas 10-yard line. So Staubach has to move him 90 yards now. Golden Richards left, Drew Pearson right. Preston Pearson, deep man out of the eye. And here comes Preston. Arneson can't hold him. Sensabaugh can't get him, and Niels runs him out of bounds.
That's been the Cardinals' problem, though, is poor tackling all season long. They've improved their defense over last year, but they play well at the point of attack, but they just don't. They get plenty of people around the ball carrier, but don't wrap him up.
2nd down and 1, and there's a footnote on Roger Staubach. You could go for quite a while on Roger Staubach. He came into this game first in the league with 33 first downs through the air. Now it's 2nd and 1 from the 19. Second man, Preston Pearson. And he's hit by Kenny Reeves and Mark Arneson and dropped as he crossed the 25-yard line. Preston Pearson at Illinois, 11-year man. He had knee surgery in '76. A great all-around athlete. He was an all Big Ten in basketball.
One of the nicest people you want to meet, too. The way he's handled himself down there with all the publicity that Tony Dorsett had received since he was drafted number 1, and Preston just hanging right in there and hanging on to his job.
He's 32 years old. He's being challenged by 23-year-old Dorsett, 25-year-old Dennison, so he's got his job worked out. 1st and 10 from the 26. Butch Johnson in a slot right. And Staubach on a deep fade gets away from Dawson, gets away from Carney, got away from Davis, and is finally caught before he could get to the 40 by Mark Arneson. But it was a litany of frustration as we rolled off the names as he was able to escape.
Yes, but the added dimension of being able to run the ball like a Roger Staubach can do, rather than maybe a 10 or 12-yard loss, which you would have had right there, his mobility and his speed right there and running ability, running out of the arms of would-be tacklers, and picks up a first down. Look at that straight arm. Learned that in the Navy. Let's see what it looks like from where Roger's seeing it. Oh, he can see it too. Big strong rush there by Mike Dawson. Carney in on pursuit too.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Staubach to Robert Newhouse, who hesitates, runs around Dawson, gets across midfield, and is dragged down at the 45-yard line. Arneson pulled him down, and Dawson, who was furious that he had escaped him, and Mike, big number 73, finally chased him and got a little of him from behind.
Nice blocking by Pat Donovan and Tom Rafferty here. Let's watch it. Good job there. Look at the blocks all over there. Golden Richards putting the block on there, too. See, once again, the faulty tackling of the Cardinals. Newhouse looked like he might come up lame. You know, there are a lot of holes in that field out there, and I think he might have hit one right there.
It is a very difficult rug in which to run, but the Cowboys are doing it. 1st and 10 on the Cardinal 45-yard line. Play action fake to Preston Pearson. Staubach to his big tight end, Billy Joe Dupree, and Mike Arneson just cuts the legs out from underneath him. Billy Joe, that's a lot of man, 6'4", 226, out of Michigan State.
He's one of your better tight ends as a receiver against the zone coverages. He doesn't have a lot of moves and he doesn't have a lot of speed, but he knows where to find those open areas when he's playing a team that's zone-oriented. That guy makes me sick right there, Mike Ditka. Have you seen how good he looks?
Oh, yeah.
Great day. He just looks great. He's older than I am, I believe.
White shirt, arms folded, the great Mike Ditka taking it all in. 2nd and 7 from the Cardinal 42. Drew Pearson in motion left. Staubach throwing to Pearson. It's complete, and he's knocked out of bounds by Lee Nelson. He got inside the 35 to the 33-yard line. That'll be enough for a first down. There is Tom Banks, who looks like he stepped out of The Wizard of Oz. He would play the Lion, talking to Dan Deerdorf. Just to Deerdorf's left, the familiar figure of Conrad Dobler.
Looks like Waylon and Willie and the Boas, the Outlaws.
And that's Jimmy Otis wearing the windbreaker. One offensive back there with the lineman. All right, it's 1st and 10 from the Cardinal 33-yard line. Staubach on a quick one to the right side to Drew Pearson, and Lee Nelson knocks him out of there. And Randy White comes over to make sure Lee Nelson doesn't try to rough his man up again. And Lee says, excuse me, I'll leave.
They have had a lot of would-be fights just about develop out there today, almost every play. It's a highly emotional game between these two teams. Just a little old 5-yard turnaround, and it's a timing pattern. The ball will be there when he plants that foot to go. Roger timed it perfectly.
And there's Randy White trying to save Pearson from taking too serious a fall, and then he'll have a reminder about it.
Don't you love to see young people have a good time?
Let's take our minds off the violence. Second and 4 from the Cardinal 27-yard line. Pearson and Newhouse split. Roger getting good blocking, now goes high and deep in the end zone, no good. Kenny Reeves right there with the tight end Billy Joe Dupree, and Reeves desperately trying to catch it, but he came up empty.
Kenny Reeves came over on a trade to the Atlanta Falcons to the Cardinals, and they tried to play him on the corner, but Kenny's corner days were gone. He'd lost a step, but he's still an excellent coverage at one-on-one man on almost any tight end in football.
And as big as Billy Joe Dupree is 6'4", Kenny Reeves is no midget. He is 6'3". So they had size against size down there. Reeves has 35 career interceptions starting this season. So if you go into his territory, you're liable to give the ball up.
He's going to get some, his share.
3rd and 4 from the 27. Staubach down the right side, complete to Drew Pearson, but he was out of bounds. So no catch.
Don't believe that he could have kept his feet in bounds. I believe he was too high and too close to the sideline, but we'll see. Roger Whirley he's working against. Let's see. No, I don't believe so. No way.
He just couldn't get him down. So 4th and 4 from the Cardinal 27. Staubach will give way to the talented leg and foot of Efren Herrera, and the pride of Guadalajara will try and kick it through, and then Dallas would be trailing by 1. It's up. It is good.
Hey.
Boy, what a leg. Efren Herrera, 5'9", 190 out of UCLA. Makes it even closer. 5:29 in the 3rd quarter. There you have it.
You usually think of Firestone only on the road. But when you take a day to relax, you'll find Firestone stays right with you to share in the fun. Like children's balloons made of Firestone natural rubber latex. For padded protection, Firestone can supply rubber bumpers and urethane foam. And seat belts on thrillers like these. Under the counter, you'll find Firestone again in the stainless steel beverage containers. For smooth stops, steam locomotives rely on Firestone air brake hoses. Firestone air stroke actuators open the gates to fun. Inside, Firestone vinyl resins for stage floorings. So even when you take the day off, Firestone doesn't. For we believe as long as Firestone keeps thinking about people, people will keep thinking about Firestone.
Exuberant spirits here in St. Louis for both sides. The Cardinals are leading. The Cowboys are coming on. There's the Dallas scoring drive. 10 plays, 63 yards, and finally the field goal by Efren Herrera. So it is Cardinals 17 and the Cowboys 16. 5:29 to go in the 3rd quarter. Efren Herrera will tee it up and kick it off. Standing deep for the Cardinals, the ever-present Terry Metcalf. He has Jerry Latin to his right, number 32, and to his left, he has Wayne Morris, number 24. So the special team for the Cowboys flexing their muscles, and we're about ready. 1 point separating the two, the Cardinals on top. Herrera, no knuckleball this time, and it's Metcalf at the 5, to the 20, 25, 30, 35, rolling across the 40-yard line, and the man who hit him was number 57, Bruce Huther, Huther. CBS Sports Spectacular will feature live coverage of the 59th running of the Jockey Club Gold Cup, $300,000 purse, the Chunichi Cup, the acclaimed competition, Nadia Comaneci and Nellie Kim, and the world's strongest men. That's all coming up next Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
And I wouldn't miss it. Nadia Comaneci and that Kim girl's pretty.
Marvelous. Okay, 1st and 10, and Hart's at the controls on the Cardinal 37. Pitch back to Metcalf. He slipped trying to cut away from Bob Brunig, and down he went, and Brunig just fell on him.
It was almost criminal what Tom Henderson did to a would-be blocker that time. Gracious. Just totally destroyed one of the backs coming out of the backfield. That Henderson's one heck of an athlete, though. Drafted him number 1 from what, Langston?
Langston.
Yeah, surprised everybody, but he's been a surprise.
Little school out of Oklahoma. On the Cardinal 34-yard line, Morris and Metcalf, the running backs, and Hart looking to the left over the middle, got Mel Gray. So Mel Gray takes it, tackled by Benny Barnes and Cliff Harris.
That Mel Gray will put you on the corner of your seat, too. Just about a 5-yard pattern downfield angle, and then about a 45-degree angle, a little slant pattern, letting that linebacker to clear. You see that he has cleared, and Barnes in on the coverage there. Good job of coverage, good pass.
They're trying to strip that ball for him. Both Cliff Harris and Benny Barnes tried to take it away, but he wouldn't give. 1st and 10 on the Cardinal 48-yard line, as Hart now trying to generate a drive of his own. Wayne Morris in motion to the left. There's a give to Metcalf, but he ran into a crowd and still bulled his way out to just about midfield. Bob Brunig, Larry Cole, Harvey Martin, and Randy White. And I just made a terrible mistake. I mentioned the name of number 63 of the Dallas Cowboys, Larry Cole.
Oh, boy. You're not supposed to mention him. Nobody's supposed to mention him.
Tell the people why.
There he is. We have destroyed his whole life. Nobody's ever heard of Larry Cole before.
He tries to be Mr. Obscurity.
I'll tell you about the Zero Club he formed a little later.
Okay. 2nd and 8 from midfield. Hart on a draw to Metcalf, looking for running room, and he is dragged down behind, and he is picked up by Randy White.
The Zero Club is a club formed in Dallas by the players for people that have no personality, that never get any publicity, have no flair, have absolutely no charisma. Pat Toomey and Blaine Nye and Larry Cole were first started that. They were all members of the thing because nobody ever heard of them. They said Toomey's statement about Cole said he is the perfect zero.
Larry Cole, we might as well finish him off. 6'5", 260, 30 years old, went to Hawaii. He has spent 10 silent years in the NFL. 3rd and 8 from midfield. Almost a mix-up in the backfield. Kyle just missed him, and down it goes. Aaron Kyle came out of nowhere, number 25, just missed getting Hart, and Hart just slammed the ball down into the rug.
Now
Watch 25.
There is a blitz you almost never see, a cornerback blitz. You see the back there, Wayne Morris not picking him up there. Very alert. Look at what Jim Hart does. He just absolutely grounded that ball, and it was a wise thing for him to do. There's Kyle right there, 25. There's Cliff Harris also blitzing. They send in everybody. And there's old Mr. Cole. You know what their motto for their club is?
What is that?
One for none and all for naught.
All for naught. Well, Terry Joyce has his punt, and a fair catch by Butch Johnson in a crowd. It was standing room only down there, just across the 25-yard line. With 2 minutes and 24 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, Cardinals 17, Dallas 16.
Take me
I'm your... I don't go with married women.
What are you doing in our Granada?
Granada, this is my Mercedes.
Hold tight. Didn't get hands to my Cadillac.
Cadillac, that's the Granada. Alone at last, beloved. Beloved?
Where's my bride?
You got that Mercedes with another man.
Another man?
The new Ford Granada. One way to tell it from Cadillac or Mercedes is its sticker price. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Who is the #1 investment firm in the East? Who is the #1 investment firm in the Midwest? Who is the #1 investment firm in the South? Who is the #1 investment firm in the West? You know who. Merrill Lynch. All around America, more investors turn to Merrill Lynch than any other investment firm. Sure, there are lots of investment firms, but there's only one Merrill Lynch.
Logan's Run, the ultimate trip. Now on a new night and a new time. Monday starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Don Coryell puzzled about his kicking game as the Cardinals put it in play 1st and 10 on their own 27-yard line. Staubach to Anthony Dorsett, and he gets out across the 35-yard line and bulls his way to the 40. Before we look at Dorsett again, we should tell you that last punt by Terry Joyce went 23 yards, and his punts today, he went 31, 27, 33, and 23. He had one blocked, and that could be a most important factor in the game.
It could very well be. Could very well be before this day is over.
So 1st and 10 as Dorsett carried it to the 40-yard line. Anthony in there with Robert Newhouse. And a handoff to Dorsett. The Cardinals trying to bring him down, and they can't. And they have to have a team meeting before they can get him down across the 45.
Look at that, brother. Moves, speed, acceleration, he's got it all. Well, I guess that's why he had such a successful career at Pitt. Watch how he bounces back against the flow this time. Sitting in the back to the right, he goes back against the flow of the pursuit. And the rest of it's just Tony Dorsett.
He has now carried the ball 5 times. Are you ready? For 112 yards, because he picked up 77 in one great gulp for a touchdown. 2nd and 3 on the Cowboy 47. Golden Richards in a slot right, inside Drew Pearson. Staubach, play action fake to Dorsett, setting up and looking. Under a rush, throws it away.
Oh, they're not going to let him get away with that, are they?
Mike Dawson and Bob Bell were all over him, and all Staubach did was throw it to Clayton County.
There is nobody in the area. Absolutely nobody in the area. That's the 2nd time today that Rogers gotten by with that.
The crowd doesn't like it. Coryell certainly doesn't like it. And it certainly appeared to be a most obvious call. You take a look.
Now, if you can find anybody in that area, you just call me up, because I sure couldn't. Roger Trott back there, and they're not going to let him get outside. You see Bell containing him there. Now, where is the man in that area? I did not see him. I saw a lineman over there.
So it is 3rd and 3 and an angry crowd here. The ball on the Dallas 47-yard line. Richards is left, Drew Pearson right. And Roger fumbles. It's picked up by Charlie Davis. He's to the 10, to the 5, and scores. Charlie Davis out of TCU. There's a flag down on the 5-yard line.
And Mike Dawson was in a fight with the official. Someone pushed it, it was official, and he turned to swing at him.
Charlie Davis is from a college in Texas, and he's going to try and beat Dallas. What a play.
Oh, buddy, that's a big break. A huge break. Retribution.
So after Roger Staubach was able to unload the play, watch this one now as he unloads to the opposing player.
There you see Mike Dawson, number 73. Follow him a little bit. A good rush there. Who was that on the outside? Was that, oh, yeah.
Zook.
Zook. John Zook.
The kick is good. And another fight starting as Charlie Cliff Harris arguing with J.V. Kane. Boy, they are simmering now. But Charlie Davis, an electrifying touchdown.
Wherever you may roam, you'll find our name is known. You can trust a Delco.
Thanks, Delco.
Delco Freedom Battery. When things are getting thick and you want to start real quick, you can trust a Delco.
Thanks, Delco.
Delco Freedom Battery. They've got the stuff when the starting's tough. You can trust a Delco.
Thanks, Delco.
Delco Freedom Battery. Delco Freedom.
Thanks, Delco.
When do you say Budweiser?
After a good bout on the lake with a water ski.
In about 2 minutes. And that's about, what, 120 seconds?
When do you say Budweiser?
When I'm fishing and when I finish fishing.
Right after I finish painting this van.
Whatever I can. On a hot day like today.
Before I go to bed.
When you say Budweiser.
Budweiser.
You've said it all.
Charlie Davis out of Texas Christian University and slightly out of his mind in joy and glory. As the Cardinals have scored to take a 24-16 lead. Standing deep, Butch Johnson, Larry Brinson. Bakken will kick from the 35.
The Dallas Cowboys, frankly, look a little stunned. That happened so suddenly.
So Bakken is ready. 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. The kick will be handled by Butch Johnson on the 8 to the 20. Into a crowd and down at the 30-yard line. A fella named Eric Williams, number 55, just hurled himself at the wedge and jammed it up. But let's take another look at the big play and Davis's touchdown.
Make your own minds up on this, you Dallas fans, whether Roger Staubach's arm had gone forward. If so, it was a bad call by the officials. He's in the attempt of passing and his arm is moving forward. He shakes it loose right there, and it looked like to me that it was a very questionable call.
So it is 1st and 10 for Dallas on their own 30-yard line. Dorsett is back in there with Newhouse. Play action fake, and he's dragged down by Mike Dawson, who came out of nowhere.
Oh. Look at those Cardinals. They are charged up, aren't they? Woo. They are charged up. You can be sure that Roger Staubach and his boys will have them back mobilized again. He won't let it get out of control. Just came from. She shot the gap in there.
It is 2nd and 16 on the Cowboy 24. 13 seconds left to go in the third quarter. The Cardinals 24, the Cowboys 16. Staubach to the right side to Butch Johnson. Lee Nelson pushes him out of bounds at the 39-yard line of Dallas. It is right on a borderline as to whether it's a first down or not.
Roger's bringing his troops back, though. Oh, aren't you seeing a good football game today? You're getting your money's worth today, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that.
It is just shy of the first down, which is another reason why they're chanting. 3rd and 1 on the Dallas 39 with 2 seconds left to go in the third quarter. 24-16 St. Louis. Pearson wide right. Dorsett is in there with Newhouse. Saldy and Dupre are the tight ends. Dorsett, and he has gotten the first down as he exploded by Mike Dawson. So that's the end of the third quarter, and what a quarter it has been. The St. Louis Cardinals 24, the Dallas Cowboys 16.
One step closer.
One step closer.
One step closer. That's what Exxon people say. One step closer. At the end of every day, Exxon's dedicated to finding energy for you. Energy for a strong America.
Hi, ever need to rent a car fast? Watch. Hertz, #1 club number 21586, arriving San Diego at 2 p.m. on RAL Flight 9. Returning it there tomorrow. Okay, thanks. That's all there is to it. When you're in the #1 club, nobody makes renting a car faster or easier than the Superstar. Even before you get there, your car is pre-assigned, your forms filled out. So rent a Ford fast from Hertz, the Superstar in rent-a-car.
Don Coryell spent 3 years with the Army paratroopers, and he is high flying today with his birds.
Used to be a little boxer, too. Used to box some in the service.
So Coryell, a most emotional coach right now, exhorting his team to hold on. Fourth quarter, the Cardinals lead by 8. Dallas with the ball, 1st and 10 on their own 43. Dorsett, deep man out of the eye. Staubach to Dorsett.
Look at
and
that.
He gets across midfield, and I don't know how. He got by Niels. Zook almost had a shot at him. The defensive end on the right side was blown out by Newhouse. So Anthony Dorsett picked up a couple.
You did indeed pick that up. Watch the block of number 44, Bob Newhart, on the linebacker, kicking outside on Kenny Reeves. And look at the acceleration right here. How gracious. You know, you can't make me believe that an offensive line won't block a little bit harder for a guy with his ability, with Tony Dorsett's ability and explosiveness, because they know if they give him that daylight one time, he can take it all the way to the end zone.
And he's done it once today when he broke one for 77 yards and a touchdown. So it is 2nd down, 1 to go. The ball is now in Cardinal territory at the 48. Butch Johnson wide left. Jay Saldy in there at tight end along with Billy Joe Dupree. And here comes Newhouse. And he fights his way for the 1st down. He got across the 45-yard line handily. Burton Lawless doing a pretty good job at throwing a block number 66.
I'll say he is. He's playing himself a good football game today. Getting his little chance to get back in that starting lineup again. Herbert Scott, of course, had a groin injury, I believe it was, and he wouldn't be playing any today. Burton used to be a regular for the Cowboys and would like to get back in there again.
4th quarter score, Denver 23, Kansas City nothing. 1st and 10, Dallas on the Cardinal 43-yard line. Drew Pearson wide right. A play action fake to Dorsett. And Staubach going for the bomb to Pearson. He can't get it. Lee Nelson for the umpteenth time. The unknown soldier made the play, but there's a flag down there in the end zone.
Shades of Minnesota a few years ago in desperation when Roger Staubach cranked it up.
It'll be pass interference against Lee Nelson, who is a disconsolate figure. Here it is.
And you'll see the interference. He's lost sight of the ball altogether and just went ahead and played the man. That is obvious pass interference by Lee Nelson.
That is a 43-yard penalty going against the Cardinals. And, of course, earlier there was a big penalty, a 42-yard penalty. The ball is on the Cardinal 1-yard line. 43-yard penalty.
Well, Ben Scully, what do we expect now? We've seen a little bit of everything today.
The whole textbook. It's 1st and goal from the 1. Newhouse. Robert Newhouse stopped by a nest of Cardinals. So it'll be 2nd and goal from the 1. It is 24-16 Cardinals. They lead by 8 with 13:41 to go.
Watch a goal line stand of the Cardinals. Mike Dawson, all that crowd. Bob Bell in there, Kenny Reeves, everybody jamming it up in there.
So 2nd and goal from the 1. Newhouse and Dorsett. Dorsett.
What a ball.
Anthony Dorsett goes flying through for his 2nd touchdown of the day, his 4th touchdown of the year, and of course the crowd still angry over the pass interference call that set it up.
Well, so they traded their place in the draft with Seattle, gave up 3 number 2 draft picks, but I don't think they're even a little bit disappointed. Tony Dorsett has been all that he was acclaimed to be. Over the top. Did you notice how they hit him and it didn't even shake him?
Didn't
Great
bother
balance.
in the least. Efren Herrera now trying to make it just a 1-point deficit. The kick is good. So the score, with 13 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the ball game, the Cardinals 24 and the Cowboys 23. We'll return to Bush Memorial Stadium after this word from your local station. Holy mackerel.
If you're taking Valium, you could end up taking a bad trip. Find out why on 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.